I'm back. Did you miss me? No, you didn't. This will be probably a reoccurring thing now. It's like every month I'll do this thing where I just make a recap of all the movies I watched last month. So, you know, more content. And I didn't steal this from Karsten. No. It's inspiration. It's inspiration. Don't sue me. I watched 31 films in May, so get ready for a fucking long video. Starting the month off, I watched Whiplash for the first time. It's a really, really good film. You can look at it from like two perspectives. Like, you know, the ending where he becomes an ultimate drummer. You can look at it from like the student, whatever his fucking name was, Andrew, I think, achieved his dream, you know, he became the best drummer. Or you could look at it like the student finally gave up, he gave in, and the teacher won because he crushed Andrew. Andrew's now been taken over by the drums, so he loses. It's just really interesting, and it's just a great movie. Then I watched Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, or the Sorcerer's Stone. I don't know where you live. It's just, you know, it's the first Harry Potter movie. There's not really much to say. It's just a classic. It's not the best movie ever, but you know, it's a classic. It's just great. You know, you grow up with that stuff. Then I rewatched Blade Runner, which, you know, it's just like Harry Potter. You know, it's not the greatest film of all time. I think it's one of the best films ever. But it's the first Blade Runner. It's really just an absolute classic, and easily one of the best films of all time. Then I rewatched Babylon, which I just don't get the hate. I just think I think it's a masterpiece. You know, it's just tragic. It's a tragic tale of four people trying to rise to fame in Hollywood. It's just, you know, four really interesting perspectives of just all the shit that happened in Hollywood, man. But yeah, I just think it's a really amazing film, and it's just really rewatchable for me, though it's fucking 3 hours long. Then I watched Fast X on opening day, and it is Fast and Furious. I don't really need to say much, you know what happens. Just shit, but it's fun. And we watched Black Widow on May 21st, and God, I hated it. I didn't think it was, I mean, it was very bad the first time around. Like, you smell the villain and you can't fucking hit him. What the fuck? And then, you know, I rewatched it, and it's just even worse. Like, the plot armor, the story's stupid, the plot armor's stupid, the action is cut like Jason Bourne because I can't fucking afford choreography. And just, oh, it's so bad, it's just so bad. Then I rewatched The French Dispatch, which, you know, installed some hope into my life, because The French Dispatch is just amazing. A lot of people say The French Dispatch is style over substance, and I just disagree, because it's like 4 stories put into one movie, and they all have their own little chapter, and it's, you know, it's just because there's so much style in it and there's so many stories. I think people just kind of overwhelmed with like four of it all in one, and just because there's so much style in this movie, people just tend to overlook just how good the story is. You know, you got the one about the art, you got the one about Owen Wilson introducing the city, you got the report about, I think it was the revolution and all that, and then you got food, and it's all just so stylish, and the story is engaging enough that you never really, there's parts where you just like, you don't really know what the hell's going on, but it's just so enjoyable, and you have to, on a rewatch, you realise how good the plot was, and just, it's not my favourite Wes Anderson film, but it's up there with one of my favourites. It's just, he just perfects his craft in this one. Then I watched Borat's subsequent movie film for the first time, not Borat 1, because I couldn't find that. It's hilarious. It's, apparently Borat 1 is funnier, but Borat 2 is just, I've never seen it, so it's just amazing. It's absolutely hilarious. That's really all you need to say. I need to watch Borat 1, but Borat 2 is surprisingly heartfelt as well. It gets pretty emotional with his daughter's relationship, you know. It's actually pretty heartfelt and also just amazing. It's really, really hilarious. It's a very good movie. You should definitely check it out. Then I watched The Man from U.N.C.L.E. again, the one by Guy Ritchie, one of my favourite directors. It's just okay. It's not really good, it's not really bad, it's just a middle of the road spy thriller, you know? It's like Operation Fortune, another Guy Ritchie film that I didn't think much of because it really just isn't that good. Then I rewatched John Wick Chapter 4 for the third time because I watched it twice in cinemas. Yeah, it's good. It's really good. It's just really, really good. It's insane. Just the set pieces, the lighting, the cinematography. It's all, the choreography, the action, everything's perfect. And you know, I've heard a lot of people say, oh, the story's so weak. No, it isn't. Chapter 3 had just him running around and killing people. Not really a clear story. And this movie has that clear story of, you know what he has to do, he knows what he has to do to get his freedom, and there's that progressive story that he goes from place to place on his journey and the steps to regaining his freedom. It's not just kill everyone and ask questions later. It's just amazing. It's easily one of my most favourite movies of all time, and just watch it if you haven't, and watch it if you have. It's just amazing. Then I rewatched Dunkirk, which I feel is just very underrated. It's an anti-war movie, but it's also a very well-crafted, just action war movie. It's just underrated because there's really not like a, you know, people overlook it when they look at Nolan films because, you know, you got Memento, the ones where you mess with time, Inception, mess with dreams, Tenet, just the most complicated shit I've ever seen, and I love it. And then you look at Dunkirk and it's just kind of straightforward. So I think people just overlook it because it really isn't. It's not Dark Knight, and it's not, you know, Memento or Tenet. It's not complicated, or it's not brilliant. It's just very, very good, but it's just straightforward, you know? You're not really going to get much from Dunkirk except pure entertainment. Then I watched Dungeons and Dragons Honor Amongst Thieves, and yeah, it was fun, it was good, it was enjoyable. I really didn't think much of it. It's just a very fun movie. So then I watched The Little Mermaid, which is just a soulless fucking remake. You've probably seen my review because somehow that gained a lot of attraction. But yeah, I watched Little Mermaid, it's just soulless. I would not watch that again. Then I watched After Sun for the first time, and it's just easily one of my favourite movies of all time. It's just, as someone who deals with like bipolar, it's just really, really, really heartbreaking to see, you know, Paul Mescal dealing with severe depression. It was just really, really connects. I really connected with it. It just hurts a lot. Then I watched Guardians of the Galaxy 3 in cinemas, and there's not much to say. I loved it. It was a pretty great film. Yeah, everyone's watched it by this point, but yeah, it was just a very good film. You should definitely watch it if you haven't. Then I rewatched The Menu, and that was it was brilliant, you know. Nicholas Hoult delivers as always. Always liked him. He's just a pretty good actor. Ralph Fiennes. Voldemort gives an absolutely amazing performance. He's just easily one of the best actors of I can't say this line. Easily one of the best actors I've ever seen. Voldemort, you know, he's just brilliant. Anya Taylor-Joy is just, I'm speechless. It's Anya Taylor-Joy. It's Anya Taylor-Joy. She's just a phenomenal actress, man. She's phenomenal. Yeah, it's just a brilliant movie. Then I rewatched The Dark Knight, and I don't need to say anything. It's The Dark Knight. It's amazing. Then I rewatched The Dark Knight Rises. I don't need to say much either. It's The Dark Knight Rises. It's fucking disappointing, but I liked it. Then I watched The Boogeyman in theaters, and I was fucking severely disappointed. It's like, it's just not very good. It's just your average movie. There's a lot of jump scares. There's a very lot of jump scares. Maybe I'm just insane, but to me it felt like they just did a fucking lot of jump scares and just thought it was creepy. Maybe I'm just, you know, maybe I just didn't like the movie, but you know, maybe there wasn't that many jump scares, but I just thought there's just a lot of jump scares for me, and it really just doesn't work. It's not that scary, it's not that good. Then I rewatched Glass Onion, which I think, controversial opinion, I think the movie is fucking shit. But I love it. I think it's just a terrible movie. It's dumb, you know, it's just dumb. But I loved it. It was just very enjoyable, but just, you know, if I didn't enjoy it so much, I recognize that it's just not that good. Then I watched Fantastic Planet for the first time, and that was weird. That was really weird, but I loved every second of it. I had no idea what was going on, but I loved every second of it. Then I watched Boogie Nights for the first time, and just a very deep look into like the golden age of porn. You know, back in like the 70s, where porn was everywhere. I mean, have you seen The Nice Guys, which I think is also one of my favorite movies of all time. It's just, you know, set in the 1970s where porn was fucking everywhere, porn was mainstream. Then you hit the 80s and porn just goes slam into the ground and dies. And it was, you know, it's a tragic movie, but it's an absolutely amazing movie. And I don't know how the hell, like, Paul Thomas Anderson, he was 26 when he made this movie. How the hell does a 26-year-old make this movie? And the last film I watched in May was Memento for the first time. And this is a movie that finally convinced me that Nolan is a damn smart director. Like, I used to think, like, I love Tenet, but, you know, I watched Inception and Tenet, and I just thought, you know, he's just being a bit too smart. He's just smart for the fucking sake of it. Then I watched this movie and it's like, wow, he's actually very, very smart at this. He knows what he's doing. It's just the going backwards story and the going forwards just intertwines in a really, really great way. And, you know, it just creates like, it's just a very great story. It's a great movie. Yeah, and that was all the movies I watched this May. Maybe I watched too many, but I have to watch these to make the videos. Anyway, I'll make this again for June and July, and it'll be a recurring series. And yeah, that's all I got.